All right, thank you all so much for being here. My name is Jenny Tomes. I do education and outreach for Port St. Lucie Utility Systems. This is our very first Lunch and Learn, so I'm thrilled that you all have such interest in these topics. You may recall that we're offering other topics throughout the rest of the year, so we'll be sending out that information as well. I think many of you probably RSVP'd for future Lunch and Learns, but I got you now, right? So I've got all of your email addresses, so I'll be sharing that information with you throughout the year. So if you'd like to come back, we'd love to have you again for another one. So again, today we are going to be talking about understanding your utility bill, and we called in our expert. This is Gina Lindsley. She is the manager of utility connection, support, and billing. And so she'll be going through your bill with you literally line by line and giving you lots of other great information. If you could do me a huge favor, if you want to start taking things out of your bags, she's going to be referencing the paperwork that's in your bags, and she's got the sample bill in there, so you really can go through line by line and see what she's talking about, and you can follow along with her. There's also a survey in there as well. If you could do me a huge favor, and I'll remind you again at the end, if you could fill this out, just provide your feedback. You don't have to put your name on it. We'd really appreciate that. You can just leave these on your table as you leave, okay? All right, so I'd like to have Wayne come up from South State Bank. We couldn't have done this series without our amazing sponsor, who is South State Bank, and I'm going to hand this over to Wayne to talk a little bit about the programs and services that they offer.
Hello, good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? Fantastic. Thank you for coming out. We just want to tell you a little bit about South State Bank. We're a local community bank. We offer a lot of different free accounts for personal accounts or business accounts. We've got some great consumer loan rates. So Tiffany, this is Tiffany. We're both relationship bankers at your local Port St. Lucie branch. So, nice thing about South State Bank is we're a community bank, so there's always someone there for you. So if you call into the bank, we're right there ready to help and answer any questions that you might have. Tiffany, what you got? Talk about
We were based in Florida. We were Center State Bank. I'm not sure if most of you know about Center State Bank. We recently converted over to South State Bank. We have over 100 locations in the state of Florida, and we go as far north as Virginia. So we have about 300 locations and still growing. Okay? And if you have any questions, please come see us after the presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, we could not have hosted this series without their support, so we truly appreciate them. So without further ado, hopefully everybody got food and drinks. Everybody good? All right, I'm going to turn it over to Gina. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I want to start out by saying one of my former mentors in my career at the city once said to me, for many people in the city, the utility department is the only interaction some people will have with the city. So it's been years since she pointed that out to me, but it's always been my driving force in this position in the utility. If your utility service is the only interaction you have with your city, I want to make sure it's an easy and positive experience. So as Jenny said, my name is Gina Lindsley. I am the manager in the Port St. Lucie Utility Systems Department. I'll be speaking to you today about all things utility billing related. Thank you for your interest in coming here today. As you can see, it's got me listed as 22 years experience in this industry with the city. I'd like to think I started at 12. We can pretend. Thank you for going with it. I appreciate it. I've actually also lived in Port St. Lucie all my life. I'm born and raised 1980, and my children are now 19 and 21, born and raised in Port St. Lucie as well. So I have a little bit of experience. My passion truly is public servant, and that's why I want to be here and talking to you guys today. Public speaking is not my forte, but Jenny made me do it. So I tend to talk a little fast, so please just stop me if you have any questions along the way, okay? Jenny, you want to go to the next slide? Before we start talking about numbers, which are kind of boring, I know you guys want to hear about it, I want to just turn your attention to these wipes that we've had in here for 4 years that are never disintegrated. And I've actually got a sample meter here as well that we can talk about and show you guys. And in your bags, you have 2 or 3 of these leak tablets. They're not candy. These are to check your toilets for leaks. And I'll show you that in just a little bit. So the first one we're looking at, if you got your water and sewer rates over here, all of your bills have a consumption charge and a base facility charge. The consumption, your water consumption is always based on your meter reading. We bill by thousands of gallons. If you've seen your bill, if you want to kind of take that sample bill side by side and look at it. Up in this second band right here, you've got the previous reading and current reading. So all of your bills for water are based on your actual usage from your meter. Your sewer, however, do you want to go to the next slide? Your sewer, however, is based on what your water usage is, with the exception that with residential customers, we do not bill you after 8,000 gallons of sewer. So does anybody know what their average usage might be? Anybody have any idea what it could be? This is the average usage. The only thing we use this for is for us to tell our customers, this is what you could expect. We don't, occasionally we do have to estimate readings, but estimations are done on your past history, not what an average would be, because we don't know how many people are living in your home. So as you see the difference between water and then water and sewer, depending on how many people, and this stands for thousands. I find that this tends to be a little overestimation. We have a lot of people that say, well, that's the average, but I'm not in my house, I work all day. This is pretty much a good industry standard of what usage would typically be for a residential home. Any questions about that? And that would really just be indoor usage, everyday usage. We don't really, the average, because if there is irrigation, that can vary so much, we don't really give an estimation for that. Yep, next one. So this breaks down, before I gave you the average usage, and that's your total, this would be the breakdown of what you might expect on your bill. You've got the base facility charges. Most residential homes have a 5/8 by 3/4. Some of the older, bigger developments might have some 1-inch meters. For the most part, a 5/8 by 3/4 inch meter will serve most residential homes, regardless of the size. The bigger meter is more if there's a lot of usage, so our commercial customers have the bigger meters, as well as we've got some people in the county where they've got, they're living on like an acre or so, and they've got very long areas between their meter and their home. That's when they would get a little bit bigger. So this is more of the breakdown. As you can see, our rates are pretty much industry standard, that it is based on a conservation valuable. So basically, the more water you use, the higher the rate is going to be for your water usage. It's pretty standard amongst most utilities. It's to encourage people to be more conservative with their usage. Most residential homes are going to be in the block 1 or block 2. And then as you see, after 8,000 gallons, there is a cap on sewer. For the most part, they figure after 8,000 gallons with a regular residential home, it's no longer going down the city sewer, and it's probably in your yard or something else. Residential is the only one that has a cap on sewer. Commercial and our multifamily users have no cap on their sewer. So if they use 241,000? Oh, it's not in there? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. Sorry about that, everybody. Non-residential customers have no cap on their sewer, and they're going to be charged that, just the base charges you see here, times whatever they've reserved. So say at the hospital out in Tradition, they've got over 150 reserved water and sewer capacity. They're going to be charged that times the numbers you see up there. So the 1165 and then the sewer base. Let me let everybody know, several years ago, the utility did adopt a leak adjustment policy, and it also includes pool fills. So if you filled your pool, and we don't need proof, we can see your usage maybe went from 3,000 gallons up to 20,000 gallons. We can obviously see that jump in usage. We will bring your water rate from the higher rate that you were automatically charged down to the lower rate. And also any sewer that you were charged over your average, we will remove from your bill completely. So let's say your average is 5,000 gallons. You used 20,000 when you filled up your pool. Your average is 5 and you got charged for 8. We're going to remove 3,000 gallons of sewer. And any water that you got charged at the 746 or the 606, we're going to bring it down to the lower rate for you. And we do that's for a pool fill. We do that one time a year for any of our customers that call and let us know. And for leaks, that's typically one time a year. We have toilet leaks, line breaks, things like that. We'll still issue a credit one time a year for our customers for that. This is our map of how we read the water meters. So we have 85,000 customers. It's a very strict schedule that we keep of reading the meter, make sure that your usage bill stays between 28 and 31 days. That's our rule. So this is the schedule that we use to read the meters. So everybody, this is cycle 1, cycle 2. This is like Torino and this area of the city. You've got cycle 3 in this green here and cycle 4. We have to have a schedule. A lot of customers ask us, can you change my due date? We can't because it's really depend on geographically when we're going to read your meter. And like I said, there's 52 weeks in a year. We got to make sure that your bill stays between 28 and 31 days. If we can't get readings, say it's really bad weather, we got to go out there the next day, make sure we get readings. And we got to stay on schedule to make sure things don't get out of sync, so to speak. And since a couple years ago, all of our meters have looked pretty much like this. I'm going to put it down so I can talk about it. This antenna is how we're picking up your readings. And so we don't have to open a meter box any longer, get a reading. The great thing about these digital read meters is whatever reading it's transmitting to us is perfect. It's a good reading. And when you have this kind of meter, if you had a leak, so ma'am, you knew about your leak, you found the leak in the yard, but what about somebody that just calls up and says, I don't know why my bill is so high? We pretty much get that all day long. Now, we're getting it reading like this, so we know the reading is good, but the problem is, where is this water being used? Most leaks are in toilets. Has anybody ever had a running toilet before? Toilet run-in? Did you know how much your bill was from the running toilet? 80 something. I've seen bills over $1,000 for a running toilet. And what happens, I gave you guys these tabs, and they're just, all it is a colored tablet, and you're gonna open up the back of your sink, so open up that lid in the back, drop these tablets in. They say in the directions to wait 15 minutes. I would wait like 15 minutes to half an hour. If inside your bowl, any of this colored water comes into the bowl, that means your toilet's leaking. A lot of people say, I don't hear it leaking. Well, some of them you can't hear. There's silent leaks, and you don't, if you see any of this color come into the bowl, it's still leaking a little bit. Maybe it's just not as loud. Number one cause of leaks. Number one cause of leaks that people don't know about. They'll say, well, my house didn't flood. We know your house didn't flood. But these toilet leaks, they're so scary because it just goes right down the sewer. And if you're not home or if you don't hear it, people have no idea. So definitely, I gave you guys, there's 2 tablets in each. I gave you all 3 of them. So please use these. It's probably like a $15 job to change out your toilet guts to stop the leak. I've done it myself. I broke things, but you can do it yourself, I promise. Take the pieces out, take them to Home Depot, find something the same, and just install it yourself. So, and then call us so we can give you an adjustment on your bill, okay? Yes, sir.
A truck drives
Yep.
by your house and picks up.
Yep. They drive by. Your question is they just drive by. I don't know their schedule. I should have asked. I don't think they need to go down every street, but from one street, they're picking up readings on both sides of them from, across the street. And it's basically they just have a laptop open in their truck and the readings just feed into it. Which back when I started, they were opening lids, squatting down. And, it's human error. Mistakes happen with readings. We all do it. So I love these readings. I love these digital meters.
Is there electricity? Is there electricity fed to the
In here, this one's actually broken. Yours wouldn't do that. But yes, it feeds the antenna. I think it's a battery, sir. You ask about electricity. I believe it's a battery. And this antenna is what picks up the reading for them. The really cool thing about these meters also is if you do have high usage, you don't know when it started, don't know when it happened, most of your meters, we can pull what we call a 96-day report. So we can see your usage over the last 96 days, hour for hour. And we can tell you, well, you don't have a leak now, but on March 1st at 7 o'clock, your meter started registering 500 gallons an hour and didn't stop until March 5th. It doesn't help you tell what it is, but we can kind of narrow it down from there. All residential new construction homes in Port St. Lucie, I didn't talk about it, but we do not service St. Lucie West. They have their own utility district. But every other new construction home that gets city water and sewer, all contractors pay in full for water and sewer connection charges. But we have found when we go to connect the meter, they're already connected to hose. We do charge them. We call the cops, we do a police report, and we charge them for like an estimated usage. If they're stealing from your home, it's really not something that we can get involved in, but we'll probably adjust your bill if that were to happen to you. Just call us and let us know. Because otherwise you're gonna fight with the builder, and we don't want you to do that. 10 years ago, if you wanted to check your meter, it'd probably be pretty clean because we're checking it every 30 days and it's nice and clean. Now, they're pretty dirty in there. So if you go out to try to read your meter and you're like, they have not touched my meter in years, we haven't touched it. But this digital reading came into us, so that's how we got your reading. And that's a really good way to start to check if you have leaks. It's kind of hard to show you, but when you open this up, it is like a digital face, and it's got a little picture of a flashlight on there, and I want you to shine a flashlight because it doesn't stay lit all the time. And what you can actually do is when you turn it on, if there's a leak, there is a little indicator saying that you have a leak, and it'll tell you the rate in which the water is being used at that moment. So right now, this one flashes rate 00, because obviously no water's going through here right now, but that's what can happen. That's how you would know if you'd have a leak. You'd get a reading, you'd wait about 2 hours, don't use any water in your home, and then get another reading. If the numbers are the same, there's no leak. If the numbers are different, that means you have a leak somewhere and you might need to check your home, toilets, things like that. And I will tell you, if you do that, if you do this leak check that I described, don't turn your toilets off. Say, well, I turned my toilets off, I turned the house off, and then I checked for leaks. You might have turned off your leaks, so you don't want to do that. But by all means, call our office and we can help you, walk you through how to do a leak check or pull a report for you.
Are you saying
Yes,
that
ma'am.
with the inspector, he will actually see the indicator that there was a leak?
If we go to your meter, like because you had high usage, we can look at it, shine a light on it, and yes.
See it from his car.
No. And again, that's only going to tell us if it's running right now. So it says leak, but what if you're running your washing machine or you're taking a shower, So we can look at it and say, well, it's using 22 gallons, per minute or whatnot. That could be your shower. It might not necessarily be that it's a leak. Now, if you come out and say, not doing anything, and then we look at it and it's got usage, then we know that there's some kind of usage going on. I want to ask anybody, has anybody had their sewer grinder back up on them? You did? Your mother did? Anybody else? You did? Do you know what time you called us to get that serviced? Do you know what time you can call us to get your sewer serviced? Yes, 24/7. 365 days a year, 24/7. My staff is staffing the phones from 7 a.m. to midnight. weekends, holidays, weekdays, every day. After midnight, it goes to an on-call person, so you will always, always get a representative of the utility. People feel bad, they call us on the holiday. It's okay, we're working, we'll come out and service your sewer for you. When I first became an adult and I was in a rental home and we had this old dishwasher and you could hear this thing throughout the whole house. You could hear the water swashing and swooshing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder how much water that uses. It's like 5 or 6 gallons. That's nothing. If you sit there with a running sink, oh, you're so much more water. There's actually, I'm not promoting the dish detergent. Whatever detergent has a commercial, they're like, we do it every night. We run our dishwasher half full because it still saves us money than hand washing. So that is a good tip a lot of people don't realize. So thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions about anything? Yes, sir.
So about the grinders.
Yes.
When I first moved to the city, like I'd never, this is the only city I've ever really been to that has
The grinder system. Mhm.
Maybe my second question would be why. But,
Why do we have grinders? I was prepared for that. So if you want an answer, I can kind of tell you. Okay. So he wants to know, why do we have grinder stations? Prior to 1994, Jenny, you kind of know a little bit more history. The city did not have water and sewer lines expanded throughout the whole city. It was in this kind of central area here in Port St. Lucie, out in Torino. There were some out east of US 1, but anybody that lives out west off Cameo, Becker, there was no water and sewer lines. However, there were already houses there. Now, you've got 2 options with sewer. You got gravity sewer, which is done out in Tradition area and some of the older areas, and then you've got a low pressure, which requires the grinder systems. Because we were in a situation where we had to put water and sewer lines on already developed properties, neighborhoods, gravity sewer would have required taking the whole road out all the way down the middle, dropping water and sewer lines. That's the only way we would have been able to get gravity there, which the city was not going to do. That was going to be a lot more money to homeowners and to the city. So the second option was the low pressure. So they're only a couple feet in the ground, and that grinder that you have that big green thing, that grinder helps push it out away from your house and into our system. Yes, there is a pump in there. It's almost, I want to say a big garbage disposal, but that's what it's doing. It's going to grind up what's there, any solids, and it's going to push it out. And it kind of gets to a next lift station in the city. It's going to help push it out, and eventually it gets to our sewer system. But we were kind of forced, because it was already developed lands and properties, to do the low pressure. Anything new, so anything out in Tradition, there's no grinders there, because when the developers built and they asked the city utility, what kind of water sewer, we're like, you're putting in gravity. So we gave them that option, gave them the option, or that's what they needed to do as a requirement. So that's been good, but we're always going to have these grinders and that low pressure system. I thank you guys so much for all of your time. I really hope you learned something. Like I said, my card is in there. If you have any problems or any questions about anything we talked about, anything comes up, please give me a call or send me an email. Leave me a message if I don't answer. So thank you all very much.